Welcome everyone to the Male Fuzz TV News Podcast. I am Peter, and joining me once again, resurrected from the grave, where a little dog put him many eons ago, Connor is here.
I get enough of that at work. At work, it's down to a squirrel.
Oh, it's a squirrel now, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's funnier if it's a small dog that injured you.
Oh yeah, it started as the truth of a medium-sized dog, then small dog, then cat, then rabbit, then squirrel. I heard a light breeze once.
Well, welcome everyone. This is TV News Podcast, a show that has been on hiatus for some time. We paused basically when the writer's strike started. We came back for one episode when the actor strike started. Plus, I think we had the Emmy nominations then. And then obviously both of those strikes wrapped up, and it was just over the past sort of few weeks that I noticed news starting to circulate in a more regular fashion. So the plan is that we're having this episode, which is the last 3 weeks of news pretty much, and come January we're going to be aiming for an episode every other week. And the benefit of that is that there'll be a nice healthy amount of news, hopefully, for every episode. And we can keep it coming nice and consistently like that. So that is the plan for now. We'll see how things go, but this is a simple show. We sit down and we talk about the news headlines, mostly from Deadline in the last few weeks. Give some thoughts, make fun of some press releases and TV show synopsis.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Haven't had a chance, yeah.
So we're going to do that. Before we get started, if you enjoy the show, hit the like button, it helps out a lot. And of course, you can support the show and all the content over at patreon.com/MaleFuzzTV and get some bonuses for your trouble. I'll tell you more about those bonus shows at the end. But let's get into the shenanigans of the TV news. Now, do you remember what we start with, Connor?
Oh, balls.
What?
I do now.
Do you?
Yeah. Thank God it's not sales figures.
No, it's not sales figures.
Exactly. I'm ingrained to be like, oh no, sales figures, but it's not.
You made me worried that I'd forgotten an opening segment that you hated.
Yeah. I hate all your opening segments.
You hate Renewals?
That's not an yeah.
That's why I start. We always start with Renewals and Cancellations if there's something to go through.
Yeah, but just on principle, I hate all your opening segments.
Oh, bloody hell. Alright, so renewals over the past few weeks. We have Foundation has been renewed for Season 3 at Apple.
3 already? Still.
Yeah, I think Season 2 is airing just now. Or maybe it just aired recently.
I know Apple, some of their shows are pretty well reviewed, pretty liked. They do not market them at all. Ever. With the exception of the last season of Ted Lasso. I've seen no major marketing on any of their shows since the original launch. I've
seen the odd trailer when I'm in the movies. Sometimes I'll get a trailer for one of their shows when I go to see something.
I don't see anything online. Like usually, when there was, if Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus, when there are shows coming up, they're usually just there'll be something, articles, trailers, you'll stumble across things. Apple, I see nothing.
I definitely remember getting a trailer for Silo when I was at the movies earlier in the year. Not a good show, by the way. Not worth wasting your time on. Potential premise, but really dull. But also renewed is Found at NBC for Season 2. And by the way, don't ask me what any of these shows are, because I
don't remember that
I don't know. NBC also renewed The Irrational for Season 2. And Peacock renewed Twisted Metal for Season 2. So, there you go.
Peacock is still a thing. Yes. Honestly, with the amount of time we had off, I thought maybe Peacock would be dead by the time we got back.
Godfather of Harlem was renewed for Season 4 at MGM Plus. That's right, something called MGM Plus has existed for 4 seasons worth of content.
Well, no, I don't believe that. They rebranded at some point, surely.
Probably. Platonic's been renewed for Season 2 at Apple. That's actually one that I don't even think of. No, this is the Seth Rogen and actress who's well known. I just don't remember who it is right
now. That narrows it down.
But it's yeah. I vaguely remember. It's a comedy. Obviously, Seth Rogen's in it. Yeah. So
actress that's well known that you don't remember the name of.
Yeah, I just don't remember who it is off the top of my head, but it's definitely someone I know. I remember thinking, oh, she's in this.
Rose Byrne?
There you go, Rose Byrne. That's the one.
You could have given me 1,000 guesses and I never would have got that.
I just knew it was someone I knew, that's all. All right, cancellations / endings, because some of them aren't really cancellations, they're more just the choice has been made to end them in advance. As is the first couple here. Curb Your Enthusiasm is going to be ending officially with season 12, which is starting in February. It's 12th season, but obviously there's been breaks between the last several, so this actually started all the way back in like 2000, maybe 2001. So
it's got to be at least 20 years.
Yeah, it's 20 plus years with 12 seasons. Larry David's in his 70s. It probably makes sense to finish
also, this is ending until he decides it's not, when he gets bored in a few years.
I don't know. I feel like they've never actually claimed this before. You know, not all the different times that it's went away. He's never said that.
I think it was more if it's renewed, there's still an obligation on his part at some point that he has to do it. Whereas this way, they can just renegotiate and go, hey, yeah, we'll give you another season. We'll do a new show essentially, but everyone will just refer to it as season 13.
I mean, you say that, but I feel like he's like the ending may die at the end of the show.
he could, but also I don't trust him not to be bored and pull some shenanigans.
I don't know what he does with his spare time. I'm sure he'll find something to do. Bob Hart's Abishola is ending with season 5 on CBS. This one hurts me a little bit.
Season 5 of a show I've never heard of.
Well, no, you have heard of it because we've talked. The reason why this hurts me is because I remember talking about this when it was being announced as in development. That's how long we've been doing this. I remember discussing this as a new thing before it launched.
I do not remember this one, but
now
we talk about a lot of shit, especially CBS stuff.
And it's going into season 5 in the coming months. So I just,
yeah,
been doing this for a while.
We have. Yeah.
Station 19 is going to end with season 7 on ABC.
That's one I am familiar with because Paige watches that.
I'm going to guess Fire Station.
I believe it's Fire Station.
Okay.
I've never actually watched more than about 20 seconds of it as I'm in and out of the room.
Yeah, but
go through to the kitchen to get a drink and it's like on. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, but firefighters and police officers do look a bit different. So I told you.
They do, but that implies that I actually pay attention to what's happening on the screen when this show is on.
Lucky Hank's been cancelled after one season at AMC. That's the Bob Odenkirk show. So, yeah, shame his next show didn't work out, but there it is.
We'll find someone else.
Freeform has cancelled Cruel Summer after 2 seasons. And Freeform have also cancelled Good Trouble after 5 seasons. 5-season show. Never heard of. But fair enough.
Freeform for you.
There you go. That's the cancellations. We have a trailer worth talking about here, and that is the trailer for the Fallout show, which also did get a release date of April 12th. So this is the video game adaptation, Bethesda's video game series, which I think there's potential in terms of it being a show, because I think the setting's interesting. I think the games... I enjoyed Fallout 3 when I played it in 2008, but the follow-ups have been kind of dull. The formula's kind of...
Hang on. Did you play New Vegas?
I'm not counting New Vegas. I'm counting 4 as dull.
Okay, sure.
Right.
But I think you have to specify, because most people, if you say the follow-ups are kind of dull, would have thought you meant New Vegas.
I just mean the Bethesda made games.
Yeah,
I'm not lumping Obsidian in with a mix.
Yeah, just making sure, because I will not stand for that slander here.
And it is clear from this trailer, one of the things that stuck out, other than the high production value, Amazon have put a lot of money into this, the looks of it, is clearly based on Fallout 3, at least in terms of locations, because you recognize the town with the cockpit of the ship, or the shuttle in the middle of it. The sheriff character that Walton Goggins is playing, I'm pretty sure, is in Fallout 3. The vault door entrance and exit, that looks very, so the outfits look the same. The armor, the big power armor guys walking about.
I mean, they always look pretty similar. The power armor does. That's kind of the whole point.
Well, yeah, but but they might have changed it for a TV show. Sometimes they do that when they're adapting stuff for no reason. Whereas here and maybe that's because Todd Howard's producing and he's involved. He's made sure they've stuck to their vision. Like, no. So
yeah, he cares. I'll give him that.
But this is Jonathan Nolan who's showrunning it, which is not bad. I mean, I know Westworld went downhill, but this is not necessarily a bad thing. He does have talent, and he's bringing some casts that are interesting with him. Michael Emerson's in there, Kyle MacLachlan's in there. And of course, the lead is Ella Pennell, who's on Yellow Jackets, or you might unfortunately also remember from Army of the Dead, the Zack Snyder movie. But
thankfully, I do not.
But it's got a cast. It looks expensive, and the trailer's well put together. It's really just all up to, is the story and script going to be good?
Like, maybe it could just be a trailer that didn't catch me, but it felt like it was missing a spark. Like you say, all these elements of the production's clearly high. Sure, there's clearly a good cast. The trailer was well paced, and it had the song.
It didn't give you a hook, is what you're saying. There was no hook.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it's Fallout. I get that. I'm familiar with Fallout, but beyond just, hey, we're doing a Fallout show. What am I here for?
I feel like people who don't know Fallout though, they don't know the games, they see a dude with one eye and think, ooh. Whereas, you're just kind of like, yeah, Fallout, there's mutants.
Yeah.
I think there's potential here. I don't think the trailer inherently makes me think, oh, this is going to be great, but there's nothing about it that says it's going to be bad either. I feel like it's wide open. They've got a potential goal here. It's just a case of, are they hitting it properly?
Yeah, I definitely don't think it looks bad. I think it was an underwhelming trailer for me, because it just didn't grab me like I'd wanted it to. But yeah, it doesn't look bad.
Yes. They should have brought, see what Todd Howard's name came up and said, from visionary game creator Todd Howard. They should have said, and Game Awards loser Todd Howard.
Tom Howard, his evil
Howard.
twin, yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw someone on a podcast actually. We didn't talk about this. We do a monthly game podcast on Patreon. That's one of the bonuses you might be able to get access to if you want more me and Connor bickering about nonsense. But at the Game Awards, there was a ad at one point for Starfield, and I heard someone on a podcast call it a passive-aggressive ad. It was almost like, enjoy your awards, everyone, from Starfield and Bethesda. Thanks.
They knew they weren't winning anything.
Well, because they didn't get nominated for almost anything.
No, but even the ones they did, they were never winning.
No, they never were. It felt like Todd Howard was in the audience because they were there to promote the Fallout TV show, because the trailer played at the awards, but he didn't. It just, I don't know, it had a bit of a tone to it. There was a bit of a tone. Anyway, so yeah, I think the trailer looks fine. I agree, there's not really a hook per se, but it does look high quality, and I think that's some of the battle at least. But
that's fair. I can't disagree with that.
All right, so some premiere dates coming up. Sexy Beast is coming to Paramount Plus starting January 25th. This is based on the movie, or this and the movie are based on the same thing. I'm not sure which, but that's coming January 25th. Paramount Plus also announced the date for season 2 of Halo, which is coming the 8th of February. So if you're someone who, for some reason,
I'll bother watching Halo.
You won't.
I probably won't know.
Halo fans don't even finish it. I don't know why it got renewed. I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of people did watch it, but I've never heard of a Halo fan who actually watched the whole thing. Most of them watched an episode or two and said, "I hate this," and stopped watching.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I think there was a trailer. I didn't obviously watch because I'm not in the first season, but I saw some people say it looked more Halo-y. But yeah, whether that's enough to care.
Copium. That's what that is. Copium.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch. Maybe I'll get there. Who knows? Now maybe I'll do it just to spite you that said I wouldn't.
No, you're not. It's too dull looking. You're not going to do it.
Yeah, it does look really dull.
I swear, it's actually really funny now. We're so far along in time now from when some of these things were big that I feel like Halo's one of those IP brands that its credibility has just There was a time when Halo 3 was coming out when it was like one of the top video game franchises. It was an event that was coming out.
Between like obviously Halo 2, well, Halo 1 was big, Halo 2 pushed it up. Between them, like Halo 3 and Reach, you had like ODST and Halo Wars in that kind of period. All those are huge.
Yeah. But last 10 years, that's not been as important.
No, it hasn't.
It's just, so, yeah. And this TV show's not done anything to really change that. We also have premiere dates for both parts of season 3 of Bridgerton. That's right, it's split in two on Netflix. Part 1 is coming May 16th, and part 2 is coming June 13th.
Is this like Stranger Things, where it's actually just like all the episodes but 1 or 2, and then they'll drop that last bit at the end?
The article did not specify what the breakdown was of the two parts, so I can't tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Palm Royale is going to be launching on Apple on the 20th of March. I've got a description for this one because you're probably saying, what the hell is that? I can tell you.
And I'll never hear about it from Apple.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig leads the ensemble cast, including Laura Dern, Alison Janney, Ricky Martin, Josh Lucas, Leslie Bibb, and more. Loosely based on the Juliet McDaniel novel Mr. and Mrs. American Pie and produced by Apple Studios, Palm Royale is the true underdog story that follows Maxine Simmons, played by Wiig, as she endeavors to break into Palm Beach high society. As Maxine attempts to cross that impermeable line between the haves and the have-nots, Palm Royale asks the questions that still baffle us today. How much of yourself are you willing to sacrifice to get what someone else has? Set during the powder keg year of 1969, Palm Royale is a testament to every outsider fighting for their chance to truly belong.
It's a very good sounding cast, but I'm not particularly interested in the premise. No, it's bad, just not for me, I don't think.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on like what the tone and stuff is.
Yeah, like obviously I could change my mind after seeing some of it, but like just on paper, that doesn't sell me.
All right, we got just a couple of general things. Timothy Olyphant has been cast in the Alien TV show that Noah Hawley's doing at FX.
He's been doing for like what seems like a decade almost at this point.
It's because it was on pause while he was doing the Fargo season, but now he's actually casting this thing. So this is
the Fargo season that I know is happening, but no one is talking about.
Yeah, I've not heard anyone talk about it either.
No,
I could even tell you who the stars are that are in this season.
Nope.
No, I have no idea.
I think it's a man and a woman.
That narrowed it down. That's very good.
It did, yeah.
So yes, So Timothy Olyphant is going to be in the show. He's going to be starring opposite Sidney Chandler, and this is a prequel to the Alien franchise. Olyphant's character's details are being withheld apparently, but somehow Deadline, if you let me finish, have a scoop here, right? They've heard something. So I'm going to tell you what
he's playing a young someone.
No, he's not.
Oh, thank God.
He's not. Annoyingly, you were actually kind of right. I hear, this is me quoting, I hear he plays Kirsch, a synth who acts as a mentor and trainer for Chandler's Wendy, who is a hybrid, a metahuman who has the brain and consciousness of a child, but the body of an adult. So we're doing weird human things in this Alien show.
Yeah, those are weird human things.
Yes. Alex Lothar's already joined the cast as a soldier. Samuel Blanken has been cast as Boy Cavalier, a CEO, as well as Ezzie Davis as Dame Sylvia, and Adrash Gurav as Slightly, as well as Kit Young as Tooties. So there's a full cast now with a bunch of weird sounding names, but the characters, not the actors. I mean the names of the characters, like Tooties. What is Tooties?
It's a name.
If you say so.
Yeah, they do.
If you say so. I mean, obviously I'm curious. I love the Alien universe and franchise. I hope it's good. Admittedly, I'm feeling more confident about the movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
Because it's Freddy Alvarez that's doing that. But, you know, this could be good. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, obviously we know, Hawley can make a good show.
Yeah. And I suspect that, well, you could probably get some quirky stuff in this. I suspect it'll be toned back in the quirkiness by the fact that it's meant to be kind of a horror show. Like, it has to kind of be a little bit toned down. So that's that. Just wanted to give an update since there was news for the Alien show. Also, there's a bit of news for Stranger Things, which is just that season 5 is going to start shooting in January. It was meant to start shooting a while ago, but obviously the strikes get in the way.
God, how old are those kids?
Pensioners, probably, by the time this comes out.
It's going to feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because they've probably aged into the age where most actors who play teenagers actually are when they start playing teenagers. So it's really, I mean, the young ones anyway, the older ones were already that age, but so it's kind of funny. They're all going to be like, 21, 22 probably.
How old actually are some of them now?
I want to say they were like 15 when the third season came out, but that's like 3 or 4 years ago now. So I think they're probably about 19 now.
Millie Bobby Brown is 19 now.
All right, yeah. 18, 19 for them.
She'll be roughly 20 when it starts filming.
Okay. That's not too bad, really. Like,
that's not terrible. It's more just the jump of where they are.
The one that was hard to swallow because there was a bit of a gap between 3 and 4 as well was Lucas's little sister. Because she was still meant to be like 11, and she said she was 11 in season 4, and you look at her and you're like, you're not 11. You're like 14. But all right, because there's a big difference between 11 and 14. That's a difference there where you really notice.
Like 16 and 18 you can kind of get away with. 11 and 14, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, but all right, so on to the show announcements and whatnot. You're thinking, oh, it's early for that. This must be a short episode. Don't worry. There's many pages. Many pages.
I wonder if you say, oh, it's early for that. And yeah, but like this TV season basically didn't happen. Right? So there's a lot in terms of the network cycle. There's some mid-season stuff, but even that's like less than normal from what I've gathered.
I don't know. I've not been doing the show. I don't know how heavy it is.
Just from what I see, it doesn't feel like a full schedule of everything like it usually is.
Well, starting off with the animated and comedies then, as I typically do before we get to the dramas. Marvel revealed it's got an animated show in the works called Eyes of Wakanda. This was revealed as part of a surprise sizzle reel during an event. Head of streaming... Marvel Studios head of streaming and television animation Brad Winderbaum, here's the logline for the show. Throughout Wakandan history, brave warriors have been tasked to travel the world retrieving dangerous vibranium artifacts. This is their story. So you can sort of see how that'll be.
I could not care less about this.
What?
Could not care less about this.
I don't give a shit either. I am so sick of the Marvel stuff right now, and I never was interested in watching the animated stuff, so, like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. No, thank you.
All right. Fox has given a script commitment with penalty to Zoo PD, an animated comedy from Family Guy executive producer Alex Carter and Aaron Kaplan's Capital Entertainment. That didn't take long.
That did not take long at all. Show number 2.
Along with Fox's Bento Box Entertainment. Written by Carter, Zoo PD follows the police force stationed inside the 8th best zoo in California in their attempts to handle the unruly customers and improve the park. The show hits upon a hard truth. At the end of the day, we're all just animals. Right way. To be fair, a workplace comedy set in a zoo, not and obviously it's animated, so they can just do whatever they want with the animals. This isn't like if this was in a regular live action sitcom and it was set in a zoo, I still think that would sound good, but they'd have to avoid showing animals like 99% of the time because that would just add so much to the budget.
Awkward. Yeah.
So
I think my only problem with this is that when you tell me that title, you tell me it's an animated show, I want the cops to be the animals.
Okay. Well, you want Zootopia, then, is what you're saying.
I mean, kind of, but like, not like, I mean, yes, but not as like a Disney movie, like action movie thing that that's doing. Like, I want the sitcom still. I want that style of show, but just play it straight. Like, I think this combined with, like, I guess, BoJack Horseman, I guess, is the closest thing I think of what I'm talking about. Just play it completely straight, but he's a horse.
Oh, I've never seen it, so I can't.
Yeah,
I can comment. All right, next animated show is Fox has got another script commitment. to a workplace comedy called Taskmasters, which comes from Brian Keith Etheridge from The Neighborhood and Brandon Walsh from Crank Yankers. And when I say The Neighborhood, that's a show he worked on, not he's from The Neighborhood. I realised that sounded like
he
that.
might be from The Neighborhood.
He's probably from a neighborhood, I imagine.
Probably.
So, yeah, co-written by Etheridge, Walsh, and Ryan, Taskmasters is a half-hour animated workplace comedy that follows a crew of lovable wackos navigating the gig economy at a fly-by-night, we'll-do-any-job business. The show incorporates prank calls to real-life customers. So be aware, the next time you get a weird phone call at work, it might be an animated character from the Taskmasters. That's a weird bit to add on.
I'm getting hints of... Phone Jacker. God, do you remember that?
I remember ads. I never watched it. I remember the ads for it.
You had Phone Jacker and Face Jacker, and it was not good, but it was weirdly popular at the time.
It sounds, it doesn't sound like my thing. But
no.
All right. So we actually only have one live action comedy, seemingly, here. Actor, comedian, and writer Jamie Lee, no Curtis. Just Jamie Lee, and actor-comedian Nikki Glazer are set to star and executive produce an Unsettling, a half-hour single-camera comedy which is in development at Prime Video from Warner Brothers TV and a bunch of other companies. Those are the main ones. Written by Lee, Unsettling is described as a heartwarming and refreshingly honest show about two childless best friends in their 30s who decide to go in on a baby together and navigate their lives as brand new platonic co-parents.
Yeah, I've never seen that premise before. Admittedly, it's usually not the entire show. It's usually just a subplot that
it's usually
a lot of shows have dealt with.
It's usually a plot and about 7 or 8 seasons in when they need to just think of something new to do for a season.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Cheers, with Sam and Rebecca.
Yeah. A lot of things have done it.
No, that was bad, to be honest. It was perfectly fine. But, it's just the thing. All right, let's get into the dramas, shall we? All right, so we're at the start of page 5 of my news document.
Of how many?
14.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 18 for some reason. So I'll take it.
Nah. It's kind of a weird mix, because usually I've just done the news that earlier in the day, so I kind of remember them all really well. But we planned to record this originally last week, so I did 2 weeks of news last week and then updated it with a fresh week of news today, and it's all kind of mixed in together, so it's a bit of a potluck for me if I know what I'm talking about here before I finish
I assume you never know what you're talking about.
Well, no,
where you read these descriptions.
In the biblical sense, I never know what I'm talking about, but, All right, first up, The Boys is getting another spin-off.
Of course it is. The
Boys Mexico. Look, Gen V is a good title, so if they end up calling the next one just The Boys Mexico, I'm going to be annoyed at them for how uncreative that is.
Yeah, but also I'm kind of glad it's not like The Boys Acano. Can you imagine?
What's Spanish for boys?
El Boy. I don't know.
Type in Spanish for boy.
I'm getting it.
What comes up?
Ninos.
Yeah, all right. Call it the Niños. There you go. Just call it.
Is it El or El?
Is it
El Nino?
Is it a double L?
Yeah.
No, never mind. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is, The Boys Mexico is a new series offshoot from Blue Beetle writer Gareth Dunnett Alcoker. Sorry, Gareth Dunnett Alcoker. Deadline has learned Diego Luna and Gail Garcia Bernal are set to executive produce, and they're considering taking on acting roles, although neither would be in major roles. They might do some small parts to help prop it up, kind of thing.
Something so they can put in the trailer.
But you know Diego Luna from stuff. He's in things.
Yeah, he's in stuff.
So, a search is currently underway for a co-showrunner to join creator, writer, and executive producer Dunnett Alcoker, who is now working on a script. The team behind The Boys Mexico, which will be shot in a Latin American country, and is working on budgets for the new series right now, and they've not begun casting yet. So the idea is that this is going to be set, in Mexico. This is going to be in that universe. I will say, I have no problem with the concept of saying, okay, that's actually quite interesting to say. Let's do something in the universe, but it's very separate. It's in a different country, hopefully even just in a completely different language, and be authentically like that. I will say though, as much as I actually did quite enjoy Gen V, thought it was a solid spin-off, I think a second spin-off is where I'm like, see, this is too franchisey now. Like, one spin-off to a show is a special treat. It's like, oh, a little bit more of it. Another show, a third show on top of that, kind of feels like, okay, we're kind of milking the teat a bit much now.
And again, it depends how essential it feels as well. Because, like, by all accounts, I've not watched it yet, but Gen V, by the end of it, it's like, you kind of have to watch this before you watch the next season of Boys.
There's a couple of cheap connections, but there's also a lot of really cool connections to the main show, and it does feel like it sets up some big stuff for the next season. And I think it probably helps with those shows that, one, a lot of the same creative people are involved on both, and two, because they're only 8 episodes each, and The Boys season 4 was never coming to next year anyway, it was actually like nice to get this show this year. It was like, hey, here's another show for this year because you're not getting The Boys, so have this instead.
Yes, well, I don't disagree with any of what you're saying there. It just has that same problem of like how I feel with like with the Star Wars shows, like the Book of Boba Fett, where it was like, you know, if you're just in the future, you're watching through The Mandalorian, you don't realize, oh, you have to watch this show at this point. You know, you kind of miss out on stuff. And it's the same here. If you're watching this 2 years down the line, you know, you just stumble across, oh, hey, this show's been pretty good. I'll finally check it out. And you don't realize you're supposed to check out Gen V in the middle of these 2 seasons. All of a sudden, it feels like it's missing this like important information potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it will be needed. Like, I'd have to actually watch some of season 4 of The Boys to really decide that. But it does. I do think what I've experienced in Gen V will pay off in some way in the next Boys season. So
yeah,
I think 2 is manageable. I think 2, and this goes back to Buffy and Angel, the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You might know it, or even Doctor Who and Torchwood, or even Cheers and Frasier.
That also had Sarah Jane Adventures running at the same time.
Yeah, but that was a kids' TV show. That was so separate.
Honestly, no, it wasn't. All 3 shows crossed over at the same time in the main Doctor Who show.
Okay, I know, but it was. Look, a lot of adults watching those shows wouldn't even pay attention to that kids show. They just wouldn't, right? I barely knew it existed, and I was watching it at the time.
Yeah, but
it was inessential.
I stand by.
It was simply inessential. I don't think it was.
I'm going to argue that it was equally as valid as Torchwood. You're just a different audience. You paid attention to Torchwood because it's like, oh, this is the gritty adult spin-off.
It's the Angel.
But both of them were extremes on either end. Like, this was the, one was the edgy one and one was the safe one, and Doctor Who's in the, the middle of all audience.
So 2 points. One, this just kind of helps my point that a third show's too much because I didn't look at the third show. Or arguably, alternatively, if you're arguing that the third show being on the other end of the spectrum is important, do you think this Boys spin-off is going to be less edgy than either of The Boys or Gen V?
No, I'm saying that I'm using the Doctor Who as a potentially a good way because it's very distinct different spin-offs, right? It's not just it's kind of a similar show, but but set in a different country, right? Which is what I'm kind of ultimately assuming The Boys Mexico.
I don't think Torchwood was that different though, as well. Though I think Torchwood, while it was aged up, was designed to appeal to most of the same audience watching Doctor Who.
Having rewatched Torchwood recently over the last few months, no, it's wildly different to the main show at the time from what you remember.
All right.
Yeah, like honestly, like even me, I thought it was more similar than it was.
Fine. I don't see where that gets us with this debate though, because I don't really care. I was just using it as an example. That 2 is fine.
Two is fine, but I think more spin-offs are good and fine if they're different enough. And I don't see this being different enough from either of the 2 shows that's on right now, where by all accounts they weren't. Tonally they're kind of pretty similar shows, right? It's very much more of the same. Not that's a bad thing when it's good and you're enjoying it, but it's just that hey, it's more boys.
I mean, it certainly helps that each show is only 8 episodes a season. If this was the 22 episodes a season number, like it was with Buffy and Angel, I think it would probably be more impactful that they were maybe a bit too similar. But at the same time, they have to inhabit the same world, so it should have the same kind of sense of humor. It should have the same overall, feel to it, even if the characters you're following are different and distinct. It fits well into the world that was established in The Boys, and I think it's a pretty solid spin-off. I do groan a little bit at a third show because it's just this is starting to feel like a bit too much. It feels like you're milking it. Now, it could end up being great. This could end up being a great show that's standalone, that's very different, and I do think it will be more standalone just by the fact that it's different creative people on board and that it is set elsewhere. Like, I'm sure they might work in some little mini crossover or something at some point, because why not? But I don't think it's... My instinct with this, because they're developing it from scratch and it's just kind of part of the banner of The Boys, it makes me think it's just going to be its own thing for the most part. I could be wrong, but it's just the vibe I'm getting from this. The way all this is worded. I don't know.
I'm with it.
Anywho, Prime Video, sticking with them for a bit, have confirmed an 8-episode series order for the drama Cruel Intentions and have announced a cast list. This is nothing to do with the reboot that was going to have the cast of the movie in it a few years ago that went nowhere. This is
I was going to say, I'm getting deja vu.
Yeah, this is a new version with a new cast. This was originally in development at Freevee in 2021. And there's
Amazon then bought out?
Yeah, Amazon owned Freevee, but now this is a Prime show. Probably because they want to make it run share, and maybe it just makes more sense to be on Prime at that point. I don't know. But
yeah.
Not that I think Freevee is necessarily... You can't have...
I would more assume it's a name that... Because Freevee, I think, is free with ads, right? That's the whole idea.
That's the whole shtick.
Whereas I think this is Cruel Intentions is probably just about enough of a name that people still recognize. That they can use it to sell, Prime subscriptions as opposed to just ads.
We're hitting this event horizon, though, with these naming, people recognize the name thing, because I'm like, yeah, the people who recognize the name of this are hitting 40 now.
Yeah, it's like... I was just, as I was saying, I was just about recognizing, I don't know how many people under 30 really know what this is.
It was like when the RoboCop remake came out and they insisted on making it PG-13, and I think my response and a lot of people's response was but anyone who's old enough to remember what RoboCop is and give a shit about the name doesn't want this to be PG-13. They want a RoboCop movie. So,
Yeah, and when they're appealing to new people, like the younger ones, that potentially... Why is it RoboCop at that point to make anything?
Yeah, it could be anything. So, maybe we're having that here. But anyway, so yeah, so was there any other information here? And the new adaptation, Cruel Intentions, is set at an elite at Washington D.C. college where two ruthless step siblings will do anything to stay in top of the cutthroat social hierarchy. After a bunch of hazing incidents threatens the entire Panhellenic system?
Panhellenic.
What's that?
It's the sorority system, I believe. I think so, anyway, because Hellenic's Greek.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we don't have sororities and shit in the UK.
No, but I'm guessing that's what that means from context.
I just know that in movies about college, people start saying things like Beta Kappa, and I just sort of nod along I know what's going on.
Yeah.
So, anyway, they'll do whatever is necessary to preserve their power and reputation, even if it means seducing the daughter of the Vice President of the United States. I thought I was going to say Vice President of the college.
Yeah, me too.
But no, of the United States.
All of a sudden, this is why it's set in Washington.
What, are they going to get the Vice President to whisper in the President's ear to put in some legislation or something? What's happening here?
I have no idea, but... I mean, it sounds like Cruel Intentions. I'll give it that. Obviously, it's tweaked the details, but at its core, yeah.
I'll be honest. Right. I'm just impressed that the words steamy or erotic never appeared in that description, because I felt that they would lean on that. They did mention seduction towards the end, so clearly it's still a part of it, but they didn't lean on it as much as I thought they were going to.
That's true, and like I say, it kind of has to be a part of it. That's kind of a core element of the movie.
Oh, for sure, yeah. What is Cruel Intentions if not a PG-13 porno? That's what it is.
Pretty much.
So, next up, Amazon are developing Halcyon, a sci-fi thriller series for Prime Video based on Christopher Long's graphic novel Hidden in Time, from the Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow and his Metronome film company and Andrew Mittman's 1.21 MGM Television, where Mittman is under an overall deal, blah, blah, blah. Trevor was going to direct the pilot. So, that, it's like he's not show running it, but he's producing and directing the pilot. Created by Richard Smith, who penned the pilot, Halcyon is a paranoid sci-fi thriller in which the Witness Protection Program relocates families to various eras of time. The series unravels a conspiracy that emerges when the seemingly infallible system is breached. Like,
that sounds fun.
It's a good premise. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
It caught my attention.
Yeah, that does sound fun. Where's this coming from again?
Amazon. That's Prime.
Amazon. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean that could work.
Yeah, it sounds fine. I mean, Colin Trevorrow's not got a massive track record as a filmmaker, but he's only directed the pilot. Like, McG directed some pilots that led to good TV shows, so, anything's possible.
Yeah. Hey, he also directed at least one good movie, so...
He's riding the Babysitter movie, he's riding the success of that in our minds forever, seemingly.
He really is. It's like the only good thing I can think of from him.
All right. Apple TV has officially picked up Murderbot.
Ooh, I'm excited. I love Murderbot.
Oh, you know what this is based on now?
The Martha Wells books.
Well, let's find out. So, 10-episode sci-fi drama starring and executive produced by Alexander Skarsgård, who they've put down in Succession, but he's put in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Based on Martha Wells' best-selling Hugo and Nebula award-winning book series, The Murderbot Diaries. The project comes from Chris and Paul Weitz, from About a Boy, of all things. The action-packed Murderbot received a blinking green light a year ago, with the casting of the title character interrupted by, you guessed it, the strikes. The series is centered on a self-hacking security android who is horrified by human emotion, yet drawn to its vulnerable clients. Murderbot must hide its free will and complete a dangerous assignment when in reality all it really wants is to be left alone to watch futuristic soap operas and figure out its place in the universe. Okay.
Yeah, I love these books. There's like 8 or 9 of them. They're mostly novellas, so they're like, the 100-ish, 120 pages, with like a couple of full novels kind of sprinkled in the series. So
you're thinking probably a few of them for a season rather than one book for the whole season?
Yeah, I'd think at least like maybe 2 novellas for an 8 to 10 episode season. Like,
Alex shows about robots. Alexander Skarsgård seems well fit to play an android.
I can see him in this role particularly.
Yeah. So okay.
No, I'm really into this.
Apple TV are like buying their way into being the place for big budget sci-fi TV. Like, they're not all good, because I did not like Silo. Foundation, we mentioned that get renewed earlier. I thought that was shit. But Severance, fantastic. For All Mankind season 1 was pretty good. I've not seen past that yet. But they're greenlighting a lot of shows. They got the Monarch show right now. They're a lot of sci-fi coming from Apple.
Yeah. Also, just on this one in particular, because I'm aware, I think this is something that will probably, if it's done well, will tick a lot of your boxes. It's kind of all about the Android. They're already self-aware, but it's more about finding their humanity and realizing they're a person. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I know you enjoy those sorts of things.
That's certainly some of my boxes. Can't deny that.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Alfie Allen, Charlie Murphy, and Jack Gleason are going to star in a Dutch-Belgian thriller series called Safe Harbor from Ozark co-creator Mark Williams, Night Train Media, and Submarine. So they're going to be in this 8-part series alongside some Dutch stars. Production has begun in Rotterdam, the Netherlands, with Williams directing along with Arne Tunen. So apparently, according to Deadline, the ambitions for Safe Harbor is to be a returner, which, okay, why not just say an ongoing show? Like, why does it have to be this weird thing where it's a limited series, but they're hoping to have a sequel? Whatever.
There's something like, I get like...
It's tax reasons. I bet you it's tax reasons.
Yeah. The only upside, I think, for an audience is that it means they're likely to make a relatively contained actual story for the first season, and they're not going to be worried about setting up the future. They're going to tell a story in case it's the only one. Going to be an
edge-of-the-seat thrill ride with character-based stories and a twisty plotline. They're going to do more shooting in Belgium and Ireland. The series follows gifted hacker Tobias and his ambitious best friend Marco, who are intent on cracking into the tech billionaires club. They are plucked from quiet obscurity and plunged headfirst into the chaos of organized crime when they cross paths with the Irish mob. Leading the family's operations in Holland are Sloane and her brother Farrell. Of course, there's an Irishman named Farrell. Of course.
Yeah.
Who enlist their services to hack the security system of the Rotterdam Harbour, Europe's largest shipping port, to secure the undetected deliveries of drug shipments. I mean, that last part was a bit dry sounding because it just was, hacking shipment details. But I mean, they're shooting a lot of fun locations.
It sounds, potentially interesting, but like, I'm intrigued, like, but also not like, I'm not all in on it either.
Sure. They'll have to be. Just in news. There's no commitments.
That's good because I'm not making it.
Netflix is working on a show called Ransom Canyon. So,
good name.
Yeah, a new drama series headlined by Josh Duhamel from Transformers and other things, as well as Minka Kelly. Like the hit Virgin River, an adaptation of Robin Carr's novels, the new series from writer, creator, and executive producer April Blair is based on a contemporary romance book series, Jodie Thomas' Ransom Canyon. It's
my god, I'm so tuned out now.
It's a multi-generational family show. That's a drinking rule.
That is a drinking rule. You know what? I know I'm already drinking whiskey, but I'll get some of the shit I want out. Let's do this properly.
Yeah.
Let's do this properly, old school.
Yes.
Let's get the shitty the supermarket own brand one as well. Might even like yeah.
I think we need to nudge you down a little bit, get you in frame. All right. So it's a multi-generational family show set on a ranch, and we say it's I don't know who they're quoting here. Jimmy Ho of Netflix is head of drama and development is saying this, and we say it's Virgin River meets Yellowstone. I knew it was going to be Yellowstone.
Of course it is.
It's on a ranch. Of course it's Yellowstone. So yes, Ransom Canyon.
Yellowstone is multi-generational.
Ransom Canyon is a romance-fueled family drama and contemporary Western saga that charts the intersecting lives of three ranching families, all set against the rugged expansion of the Texas Hill Country. This is so much we want our own Yellowstone. That's all this is. They might as well just call it Redstone or Bluestone or pick a color.
Yellow River.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yellow Rock.
Oh, yeah. Now we're getting somewhere.
Although the lawyers may have their
that might be a little bit too close.
We have their textbooks out. Like, we have to double check that one.
Oh, cool.
All right, next up, Prime Video is rounding out the cast for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So they're doing like a show based on that movie. But notably, this is headlined by Donald Glover and Maya Erskine. So Donald Glover is kind of that's a big get for this, I think.
Yeah, what's he been doing recently?
I don't know. Music, I guess. He's the Gambino, all that stuff.
Yeah, I've not even heard any of his Gambino stuff recently, though.
But joining them is, funnily enough, Alexander Skarsgård, Isa Gonzalez, who you might know from Baby Driver, and she was in Kong vs. Godzilla.
Was she in the Refn show? The Amazon Refn show?
I don't think so. I think I know who you're thinking about. That wasn't her, though.
Was that not her?
No, I know who you're thinking about, though.
Yeah, I know. I can picture, like... I know she was in Baby Driver and that, but like, for some reason I thought maybe that was her.
No. The different badass, sexy Latina. Different one.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Carry on.
Sarah Paulson's also...
She was in Bloodshot. That's what really matters.
Oh, I have seen that. Unfortunately, I saw that, yes.
I unfortunately did as well.
Sarah Paulson, Sharon Horgan, Ron Perlman, Billy Campbell, and Ursula Fabrero have all joined the cast. The description for this, in this version of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, two lonely strangers land jobs working for a mysterious spy agency that offers them a glorious life of espionage, wealth, world travels, and a dream brownstone in Manhattan. The catch: new identities and an arranged marriage as Mr. and Mrs. John and Jane Smith. Now hitched, John and Jane navigate a high-risk mission every week while also facing a new relationship milestone.
Hang on a second.
That was personal and professional. Well, I mean, relationship arguably is also professional in this case. Because it's
read it again. Let me see how do they phrase it as a personal issue though.
Now Hitch, John and Jane navigate a high-risk mission every week while also facing a new relationship milestone. Their complex story becomes an even more complicated when they catch real feelings for each other. What's riskier, espionage or marriage?
I think the addition of the second part, though, implies that it wasn't personal and professional. It was professional and professional. Yes. And then some personal comes later.
But there's definitely an implication that eventually there's going to be personal and professional, but they don't say it quite that way.
But it's not phrased. It
was close. Just... It was close.
Yeah.
Donald Glover's the only thing that makes me vaguely interested in this.
Yeah, the movie was fine. I don't remember it being good, but I don't remember it being terrible either.
I just remember being kind of bland, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was fine. Like, it's there.
Yeah, right. Well,
I think the premise works for a TV show, though. Different mission, each episode.
I think there was a trailer for this a few weeks ago, actually. But it's like before I was getting news. But I think there's a trailer in existence for this if people want to go and have a look at it. Next up, Boomerang co-creator Ben Corey Jones has acquired the shopping rights to Brianna Pepin's young adult novel, Briarcliff Prep. Oh, I'm going to hate this, aren't I? Briarcliff Prep. This sounds bad already. The project will be co-written by Jones and Pepins. Both will produce alongside
Pepins Prep.
will produce alongside Cultivate Entertainment partners Sean Michael Butler. Sorry, 3 names. And Patrick Strom. Per the book synopsis, set in a luxe, aspirational, historically black boarding school inspired by the author's alma mater, Spelman College, Briarcliff Prep is a captivating celebration of the friends we choose, the family we protect, and the love we owe ourselves.
I do not care about a single
Yeah, I got nothing from that. I mean, honestly, YA right away is like a giant red flag, but then I heard the name Briarcliff Prep, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But, that said, though, it does sound like it'll be a mostly black-led show, so that's something. I don't want to shit in that. That's obviously a good thing, but everything else about it is...
That doesn't mean it's good for us, as a show, like concept.
No. Next up, Michelle Williams is set to star and produce in Dying for Sex, a limited series for FX from writers Liz Merriweather from The Dropout and Kim Rosenstock from Only Murders in the Building, with director Leslie Headland from Acolyte and 20th Television. Based on the hit Wondery podcast, Dying for Sex is the story of a woman diagnosed with the metastatic breast cancer who leaves her husband of 15 years and begins to explore her sexuality. She gets the courage to support and go on this adventure from her best friend, who stays by her side all the way to the very end. Oh, that sounds like it's going to be...
She's dying at the end.
It's going to be all sad at the end. Oh, that's a shame. All right. It sounded quite raunchy, and maybe it will be for most of it, but it sounds like it's probably...
It'll have a little sad ending, yeah.
But it's going to have a downer ending, yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't feel particularly strongly one way or the other about this one.
No, I don't think it's for me, but I don't think it's like inherently a bad show either.
Yeah, could be a bit of a vehicle for her. If she's wanting to show her acting chops, I could see her getting a lot to do in that.
Yeah, that is definitely possible.
Yeah. Next up, Marvista Entertainment at the Foxhole Studio is turning Seferina's Nova Glass novel On a Quiet Street into a TV show. On a Quiet Street is part of the Canadian producer Neshama Entertainment, which owns a stake to produce the show. On a Quiet Street tells the story of 2 female best friends, Paige and Cora. Cora thinks her husband Finn is cheating. She just needs to catch him in the act. That's where Paige comes in. Paige lost her son to a hit-and-run accident last year, and she's drowning in kind of grief that makes people do reckless things like spying on the locals, searching for proof of that her son's death was no accident, and agreeing to Cora's plan to reveal what kind of man Finn really is. All while the reclusive new neighbor Georgia is acting stranger and stranger every day. But what could such a lovely young mother possibly be hiding? That sounds like your page.
Oh, you done? Oh my god, that was that. Oh,
your page is grief stricken.
Probably.
When she's with you. So
Yeah, yeah, there is that.
There.
Do you know what? That wasn't even just like bad because I hated what it was saying. I hated the way it was written.
Yeah,
it was written like a 10-year-old would have written.
Yeah, it ran on. It definitely ran on. It wasn't the best thing to read.
And like just like repeating the names over and over and over again, which is not natural writing or speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Just bad.
I concur. Next up, we've got a show called Your Friends Your Friends and Neighbors. John Hamm's going to headline this show, which comes from Warrior creator Jonathan Tropper and Apple Studios.
John Hamm, like in school, was like nicknamed like the hamster or something. Actually, he was ever small and they called him Hamster.
I feel like bacon jokes would have been more likely, but
yeah, maybe.
You know. Anyway, Ham stars as Coop, a recently divorced hedge fund manager who, after being fired, resorts to stealing money from the wealthy residents in his Tony upstate New York suburb in order to keep his family's lifestyle afloat. These petty crimes begin to reinvigorate him until he breaks into the wrong house at the wrong time. So, yeah. And this is Topper, the showrunner here, is the showrunner who did C at Apple, which we only watched one episode of, but it was really, really bad.
I was getting a little bit Breaking Bad vibes there.
Yeah, a little bit. I can see that.
Yeah. Significantly less interested after hearing about the showrunner there.
Yes. But maybe since he's not doing a high concept thing where everyone's blind, maybe it'll not be as convoluted and stupid.
But that said, they called him Coop and it made me think of Twin Peaks. And you don't want to compare this to Twin Peaks.
No, you don't. You really don't. Next up, Platige Image and Mount Devil, together with the Wheel of Time's executive producer Mike Weber, are in the works on a TV show based on Otherland, which is a 4-book series by Tad Williams. Otherland.
Oh, I know these books.
Oh, I tell you about. Otherland is described as an epic cyberpunk fantasy adventure. The world, as we know it, has an additional layer here. Hyper-realistic VR arenas that have become a new place for fun, work, education, but also debauchery, crime, and abuse. The mysterious Otherland, supposedly another layer of the network, becomes a mere starting point for a multi-realm adventure. Its Inception-like mechanics contain a series of realms, some uncannily resembling the world we know, others bizarrely clusters of family creations and characters. Among them are intergalactic taverns, medieval fantasies, and battlegrounds of World War I, to name a few. So, I mean, I can see the potential of having these like VR worlds that you can jump through anything you want, but depending on how they do it, I'm also dreading something that looks like Ready Player One.
Yeah. There's obvious comparisons there. I also I've heard good things about Tad Williams' work, so more so than maybe Ready Player One.
I would hope they go with the holodeck approach in Star Trek and just film it as if it's real.
Yeah, I think like on one hand I'm like, oh, this is really interesting because you can do like, different episodes can be set in different things. But on the other hand, that sounds really expensive because that's like whole new sets, everything like brand new every time, and that's not cheap. So yeah, it's a mixed bag of like potential there.
I mean, I can see there being great stories of like, the underworld hiding in secret layers of the VR worlds and stuff like that, and solving crimes and investigating stuff. Like, I see a lot of potential there. I think it has to have a really strong like story and direction to keep it all coherent, I would say.
I agree. But there's nothing to say they can't pull that off. Like it could be really good.
No. All right, next up, Amazon's MGM Studios is developing Things We Never Got Over. It's a series adaptation of the best-selling romance novel by Lucy Score. Set to adapt the book is executive producer and showrunner from Echo, Amy Rardon. The first book in Score's MIT best-selling Knock 'Em Out series, which has sold over 5 million copies in total. Knock 'Em Out was all one word, so I had to think about what I was saying there for a second.
I was wondering why you paused.
Yeah, because it was all one word, so I was like, okay, hon, what is this word? Nukimit? What is this? Things We Never Get Over watches as runaway bride Naomi Witt heads straight from the altar into trouble when her estranged twin sister Tina calls her to a small town Virginia. Is that home? Upon her arrival, Tina steals her car, phone, and purse and leaves Naomi stranded in an unfamiliar town with a teenage niece in her care, as well as a grouchy but very sexy local who turns out to be her knight in tattooed armor. That was a hell of a description.
No. It did not just go there at the end. It was like, okay, it was fine. It wasn't good sounding, but it was fine. Just by the book. And then it got to, what was it? Sexy something or other?
A very sexy local.
Yeah. It got to that, and I was like, whoa.
Somehow never broke out of the drinking rules, though. I'm surprised.
I know, somehow didn't.
I felt like it was going that way. But hey.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Amy Adams is attached to headline and executive produce a miniseries called The Holdout, a legal thriller drama written by Oscar winner Graham Moore from The Imitation Game, based on his novel of the same name. So this comes from Adams Bond Group Entertainment and Yellow Jackets executive producer Drew Commons Creative Engine Entertainment and fifth season. A legal drama meets murder investigation in the vein of The Night Of, with a dual timeline mystery. The Holdout is set in Los Angeles and follows a woman who finds herself playing multiple roles: juror, attorney, investigator, and suspect. 10 years after the Maya seal turns the tide in a hugely controversial verdict, a fellow juror is found dead in a hotel room. All evidence points to her. Now she must prove her own innocence by getting to the bottom of the case that is far from closed. As the present-day murder investigation weaves together with the story of what really happened during their deliberation, told by each of the jurors in turn, the secrets they have all been keeping threaten to come out, with drastic consequences for all involved.
A little bit wordy by the end.
Yes.
But not a terrible premise.
I do think it's interesting. It's sort of an inverse 12 Angry Men, where they're being questioned later about what happened when they had their deliberations. I think that's a little interesting as a premise. I'm
intrigued about the dual timelines, but then also the comparison to The Night Of, which technically did have dual timelines, but it was all like, okay, here's one episode showing everything, and then we'll kind of cut back to it as needed. Whereas this feels like it'll be more like, oh, we'll show it as we reveal it. At least from the way it's worded there. And
Night Of was very good. Particularly the first and last episodes were pretty excellent. It was slow a bit in the middle, but the first and last episodes were pretty standout.
I mean, the first in particular was incredible.
So, not a bad thing to aspire to, but we'll see. That's The Holdout. Next up, Sweden Studios Extraordinaires is teaming with European games maker Fallen Leaf Studios to develop film and TV versions of the sci-fi horror game Fort Solace, which I have only vaguely heard of, despite being in that, the world of video games. In the game, players take control of engineer Jack Leary, who is says trust, but I'm going to assume that was meant to say thrust. Thrust into an emergency.
He might be tied up.
Sure. Who is thrust into an emergency situation on an isolated Martian mining base. As the events spiral out of control, a mystery about the fate of the base's crew slowly unravels.
Solid premise for a sci-fi show.
Sounds more like a movie than a show to me, but I mean,
depends how it's paced.
Yeah.
It sounds more like a limited show, granted, at least.
I've heard the game is pretty short and it's more or less a walking simulator. There's not much gameplay in
one
it.
of those. Yeah, okay.
But with a cool setting. I think Troy Baker's in the cast of the video game, things like that.
It's usually pretty good.
So I don't know. Maybe it'll turn into a fun show or movie. But there's that. We do have some network stuff.
Oh, they still making things.
They are. So after working with NBC on his shows Siberia and Emerald City, although Emerald City only lasted one season and got cancelled, so it's weird.
Was that the Weird Wizard of Oz one?
Yeah, about 5 or so years ago. Matthew Arnold is returning to NBC to executive produce and showrun a show called Nowhere, a new drama series in development from Atomic Monster, which is interesting. That's James Wan's production company, who do like a bunch of horror and sci-fi movies. And Vertigo Entertainment. Originally conceived by Arnold as a novella, which he's adapted into a forthcoming novel, the show is billed as a high-concept mystery in the vein of Manifest or La Brea. which sound amazing. But
it gives you a sense of what they're aiming for, though.
So it's got supernatural thriller elements. It watches a group of individuals awake to find all of the inhabitants from their remote Vermont town have seemingly vanished overnight. Led by the former sheriff, the remaining citizens embark on a mysterious search for their missing loved ones, uncovering numerous supernatural anomalies along the way. So it's almost like a mini Leftovers where they're actually going to dig into what happened to the missing people.
Yeah, it doesn't sound terrible. It sounds kind of networky, but not terrible.
I think it's
what's interesting is comparing it to those shows means we finally moved on to comparing everything to Lost.
Yeah, I think the premise sounds fine and even appealing to me. The problem is that, like, I saw La Brea's pilot. I know what an NBC show with this type of premise is going to feel like.
Yeah, and I remember Manifest.
I don't think we watched Manifest, did we?
We not? I definitely watched Manifest at some point.
Maybe I watched the first one.
The Vanish from the Plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever watched Manifest, no.
Oh, I definitely saw at least the first episode of Manifest.
I don't know.
It was fine. It wasn't terrible, but it was fine.
All right. Next up, Fox has picked up a psychological crime drama called Murder in a Small Town, starring Rossif Sutherland from The Handmaid's Tale and Kristen Crook from Smallville.
You let me know it was going to be someone, and I still wasn't prepared for that.
And I think it's either a Canadian show that's been imported, or it's a co-production with a Canadian show, because Fox have never done this before, so they're making a big deal about how it's the first international co-production or some shit. But yeah, they've got the US rights to show the series anyway. And it's based on the Carl Alberg books by L.R. Wright. Murder in a Small Town follows Carl Alberg, who moves to a quiet coastal town to soothe a psyche that has been battered by big city police work. I hate that sentence so much. But this gentle paradise has more than its share of secrets, and Carl will need to call upon the skills that made him a world-class detective in solving the murders that, even in this seemingly idyllic setting, continue to wash up on his shore. Crook stars as Cassandra, a local librarian who becomes Alberg's muse, foil, and romantic interest.
I hate this. Sounds so bad.
I've never heard of a detective.
Do I hate Canadian TV shows more than I hate American network shows?
I've never heard of a detective being described as having a muse.
No, me either.
Because it's not artistic. Which is the main,
Hey, Sherlock Holmes made it an art.
All right. Well, we've got one last story.
Oh, thank God.
CBS.
I'm ready.
All right. Now, we actually don't have a description for this one.
Oh, I'm safe.
because of the type of news that it is. However, basically, they're planning a spin-off of a show, and they're introducing a character in an episode, which is, they're not officially saying it's a backdoor pilot, but they're kind of hoping...
But it's a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, they're hoping that this person they introduce is going to lead into their own show. So they're going to do a spin-off of Fire Country.
Don't know what that is.
I'd never heard of it either.
But
the spin-off would focus on a sheriff. So, you know how NBC have got the Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and whatever other ones they've got? This is CBS trying to do that. They've got Fire Country, which follows firefighters, and then they're going to try and spin that off into Sheriff Country.
Yeah, you said they're trying to do that as if they don't have 1,000 NCIS shows.
Yeah, but they're not all different, like the different pillars of emergency services. They're all different versions of police. This, which makes the fact that they're spinning off the firefighter show into a police show even funnier, to be honest.
Yeah. CBS gonna CBS.
Yeah. The exact text here, just to be clear, sources caution this is not a formal backdoor pilot order, and CBS could go in different routes with the new character if the episode is well received, spinning off the character into her own series, or adding the actress to the main cast of and I hate this and they do this every so often on Deadline. She might be added to the cast of the Fire Country Mothership.
Ugh.
They refer to the original main show as the Mothership. I don't like it.
I don't
like it.
Let's not use that.
In fact, I dislike it so much. You don't have to do it for this one. I think that's a new drinking rule. If they say Mothership referring to a show,
fine.
I think we have to do it. I think there's been times in the past where I've censored it and not said it when it's been there.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
But I've seen it before. But I had no description for this one, so I had to keep more of the fluff in.
I think you usually just refer to it as the main show or
yes,
the original show, whatever. I think you
like
you
a normal human being
yeah.
would speak.
You know the worst part is when they're training their AI on their own articles, which you know they are. It's just going to remember Mothership.
It is.
It's going to be used more and more, and I hate it.
Oh dear. Do you know, this wasn't quite as long as I thought it was going to be with 3 weeks in news, but you know, we
got the one thing to add, which is an anime piece of news. So Pete's not happy, but hey, it's an anime you've heard of. You are familiar with One Piece.
I've heard the name.
I mean,
I don't know what it is.
There's some stupid pirate. I don't watch it either, because no one watches it anymore, and that's the point of this news story. It got a Netflix show this year. Like, you know, this is one of the episodes. It was surprisingly well regarded. I think it's their first like live action anime adaptation that's actually been well regarded. They've tried a few times. Obviously, you know, they've had Cowboy Bebop and Death Note and probably something else, but like this is the first one that's gone well for them. The original anime is well over 1,000 episodes in at this point. Like,
as you do,
yeah. It's been going for like 20 years. It's horrific at this point, and so what they're doing is they're remaking it. They're remaking the entire show. They're giving it to a popular animation studio, Wit Studios, and it's coming to Netflix because obviously they've got to deal with Netflix because they did the live action version. And they're just remaking the show from the start, brand new animation, but cutting out all the filler episodes and all the filler arcs. Because no one wants to start watching the show anymore because it's over 1,000 episodes in to catch up. And no one... This isn't like a soap where you can just jump in and, you know, catch up. It's just like one long story, and it's... How many episodes is it? Like, let me see if I can find out quickly, because it's a lot of episodes. It's too many episodes for any show. 1,100 already, and still going. And this 1,100 episode show is continuing alongside the new show, which is simply called The One Piece. That's right. They've separated it for Google searchability by adding "the" to the name.
You're not making me think that. You're not doing any help to my opinion that anime is stupid here, right? You're just enforcing it.
No, because you've got One Piece, you've got Naruto. But there's a couple others that run for way too many episodes that I cannot comprehend. Because who's sitting down to watch 1,100 episodes of a stupid pirate? No one, and they know that, which is why they're remaking the entire show from scratch.
There'll be some like you perverts know who you are.
Yeah, I work with someone who's watched every episode, and I hate him. I hate him for this. But like, so you're gonna have One Piece, the original. So you got One Piece the manga, just called One Piece. One Piece the show, which is 1,100 episodes in. One Piece live action, which is 8 episodes in on Netflix. And The One Piece, which will also be on Netflix, but will be an anime and just remaking the show again. Like, I can't. I hate this so much. This was announced like yesterday, and I hate it. I really hate it.
All right. Well, I will point out there was something that looked like a news story right before we started about Ryan Coogler developing an X-Files show. However, there was no new information, and that rumor was actually already a thing. I remember talking about it when it first came up. There's nothing new added to it.
Yeah,
it was just mentioned that it was Bloomberg were reporting on some sort of big press show or something. I don't know what season we're in that they're doing a show talking about projects, but yeah. So there's no new news. I didn't like miss it or whatever. There was just nothing else to talk about with it. We've already any information we had, we already talked about.
It exists or it doesn't.
Yes, and at this point, it could go either way. So
yeah,
there you go. But that'll do it. That'll be us. And I don't suspect there'll be another one of this before the end of the year, just purely because the news will naturally dry up as we're going over Christmas. This is right now as we record this is the 17th, I think, of December. And we're we'll be going obviously into Christmas. News obviously dries up, and then once we're back in January, we'll be back to doing this on a regular basis. I mentioned at the start, you can get bonus shows over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. If you want more of us two talking to each other monthly and you're even mildly interested in video games, we have a monthly video game podcast called Fuzzy Casuals. It's kind of like this. We talk about news, we talk about what we've been playing, and
the last one we covered the Game Awards.
We did. Those tend to be at least 2 hours long based on the first 5 episodes we've had so far. So if that sounds interesting, you can go check out that. But there's bonus, movie podcast shows and things like that, and early access for some stuff. So, if you haven't checked out MailFuzz Movies, the other YouTube channel where all the movie podcasts live, do go and check out those. There'll be a review of Godzilla -1 up either already or in the next day or two by the time you get this on YouTube. So
I'm really looking forward to going to see it.
So go check out that. But that helps everything keep coming. It keeps all the lights on. And of course, you can hit the like button, stuff like that. That helps out a bunch too. It helps more people find the show. And yeah, give your comments on anything that we reported on today. But that is us. Thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?